And if you haven't been to the beer garden yet, it's just a fantastic spot. San Francisco needs more of these. So I'm not going to go into the lessons. I don't think we have time, but maybe we can get into the questions. So this is happening in other parts of the world too. This is a 25-hectare industrial waterfront in a town southeast of Copenhagen called Køge. And the Danish development firm Real Dania has partnered with the city. It seems that the European development community has a pretty good sense of this notion of culture as a driver of development, of this idea that, you know, cultural investment can precede brick and mortar efforts. And so this is the current state of affairs there. It's an industrial waterfront. A lot of the current industry is moving to the northern part of the harbor where there's a much larger scale. And so there's a set of existing buildings, a set of existing industrial uses. And the plan is to redevelop this site over the next 25 years and turn it into this. So in this case, the master plan has already been completed for this spot, but the development team understands that, you know, incubating culture through some temporary actions, through temporary urbanism, can begin to change the way that people perceive this spot in advance of the buildings being built, to create a buzz, to enable people to experience this site in a new way. If I were to, you know, some folks from the development community might say, build social capital because that can result in real estate equity, right? That's the sort of approach, I think, behind getting artists, getting cultural producers engaged in these longer-term development cycles in a way of absorbing, you know, tactical actors' efforts and art into these larger-scale processes of development. But in this case, you know, the first stab at this was a pretty interesting effort. It was an exhibition put together by a Danish landscape architect and curator team, really interesting folks, Bettina and Charlotte. And they invited artists and designers from all over the world to do temporary projects, some of which are 2-month projects, some of which are 5-year projects. Rebar was invited to do 2 pieces there. One was to create a kind of walkway into a contaminated site, and the second was to utilize some of the existing industrial materials from the site and create a new landscape, what we call a playscape of wood and sand. And so this thing utilized materials from the harbor to create a new play environment. This thing will be here for up to a couple years. This is before the meadow grasses kind of grew and filled in, but it's we were interested in creating a sculptural element that was also a play environment to create a new kind of experience. And a group called Renate Eggelsen created this great project. It's a floating bathhouse, a floating sauna house that was created over the course of 2 weeks by a group of students. Now it's out in the bay. This was part of the exhibition. You have to boat or swim out there, but you get out there and there's this wonderful stove, and you can do a sauna out in the harbor. Some group did a stair. Another very inventive guy named Jasper did these mobile kitchen elements. So there's a whole set of different art and design interventions which were meant to bring people down to the site and experience it in a new way. I don't think that any of these design interventions were necessarily meant to inform the longer-term strategic plan. In this case, the plan was done, but the cultural activation was necessary, and that's why the artists and tactical acts were brought in.